well, at least my last rapid fire segment of the day. The great news, kind of, because like I've been feeling lukewarm about this. Maybe I should pull my tweet up. I feel like a lot of people resonated with it. Let's see if I can find it. Let's pull up Henry Kissinger's. I'll pull up his resume here soon because Henry Kissinger is the Michael Jordan of war criminals. He's at least like first team, right? First team war criminal. Because I want to be careful because there are a lot of bad people out there. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like over dramatic. But if he was to make a first team war, you know how they're like first team NBA, first team war criminal. This motherfucker Henry Kissinger put up numbers that will make Thanos proud of him. Numbers that will make the Joker blush, Lex Luthor proud. Like in real life, let's pull up his number. Let's pull up his Hall of Fame career. This is the Hall of Fame war criminal career of Henry Kissinger. Look at these stats. These are stats that young up and coming war criminals wish they had. This is why he's the Kobe of war criminals, the Michael Jordan of war criminals, the Muhammad Ali of war criminals, the Fedor Emelianenko of war criminals. Let's look at Cambodia. 500,000 people killed. And let's see if I can find the receipt real quick, because famously, Anthony Bourdain, it can't be that hard to find. That's why I want to find Anthony. He said if anyone went to Cambodia and saw what Henry Kissinger did, talk to the locals, you will want to beat Henry Kissinger up with your bare hands. Here it is. I didn't have it saved, but I know it's not that hard to find. Here it is. You guys see, I'm just searching on Google real quick. Here's Anthony Bourdain. Once you've been to Cambodia, you'll never want to stop beating Henry Kissinger to death with your bare hands. He went on to describe how he needed to go to The Hague. And he later tweeted that there are a lot of things that I said in my life that I regret. But one thing I don't regret is saying that I would beat the shit out of Henry Kissinger in my hands. That was a later follow-up tweet I don't have saved. But he is the butcher of Cambodia. Like, he is like their devil. Like, and in the lack of a better term, you know what I mean? Like, he's the guy that is gonna be a ghost and a shadow on that society for generations and generations to come. Because this tragic figure never got justice for what he did in Cambodia. And we're just getting started. Once again, war criminals and the establishment loved him. You guys see, this is one of the few best decent headlines. Not even a base headline. I wouldn't say that. But you see Henry Kissinger, war criminal beloved by Americans' ruling class, which is not an exaggeration. This guy was beloved. He was a mentor of Hillary Clinton. He was an advisor to multiple presidents. And every single White House except Biden recently, because Henry Kissinger was critical of the war on Ukraine to begin with, not because he had an objection, but every single White House except Biden has invited Henry Kissinger as like a guest of honor, despite his record. So America, the true terrorist country, the most violent empire in modern human history, they see these numbers and they respect it more than anything else, CJ. Mm-hmm. Hillary Clinton and war criminals all across the United States, they dream of having a kill.
He's the bar. He's the bar. He's the bar.
Anthony Blinken like, bro, let's go. I'm quick catching up, man. I'm going to get this motherfucker, bro. I'm sponsoring this genocide over here. I sponsored the Yemen genocide. I was down for Iraq, Afghanistan, bro. I'll catch you, bro. He like, I'm up and coming, bro. I need to. If he's Michael Jordan, I'm LeBron. I think I'm coming because he is the bar. That's East Timor. The invasion he supported, 200,000 deaths. That the Pinochet dictatorship, which was extremely genocidal, committed violent ethnic cleansing, killed countless people under Pinochet. Horrible guy. Supported by Henry Kissinger. Bangladesh, 3 million deaths. The Argentina dirty war. He had 30,000 killed. 30,000 disappeared. So 60,000. You had Laos, which is deeply under discussed. And I do have to read. That's been on my bucket list for a very long time. It's reading more about Laos. My friend is really good into Laos. Didi. Our friend Didi is actually really good on Laos. She used to write about it all the time. That's on my bucket list. Laos is something that a lot of people don't talk about. The U.S. atrocities in Laos. I don't have it either. And once again, that's on my bucket list. I need to read more about that. But Henry Kissinger had a big deal with that. And then we obviously know his life work his NBA Finals performance, the Vietnam War, the butcher of Cambodia, the butcher of Vietnam, the supporter of Pinochet, the butcher of Bangladesh. You guys see why I say like war criminals wish they can do this. Not only did he do this, he got away with it, fam. That's why I haven't really been celebrating on Twitter. Because it's only fun when these people die young.
Yeah.
Because you know when Rush Limbaugh died, Rush Limbaugh was below life expectancy. That shit was perfect. when these war criminals, members of the ruling class, when they die at or below life expectancy, that shit is perfect. But when someone like this lives to be at 100, it's hard to see that there's any justice in this world. My grandpa lived 25 years shorter life than Henry Kissinger. And this is what I'll just read what I tweeted earlier. I think a decent amount of people can relate to this. I said, I don't even feel like celebrating Henry Kissinger's death. He lived to be 100. He lived to be around 25 years longer than my grandfather. At the end of the day, he won. He lived a comfortable life, had health care. The peasants hate him, but you don't care about the peasants. He loved amongst his class. So he lived in a social, comfortable life, 100 years old, with millions of deaths on his hand. And you guys think there's justice in our society? What kind of God will allow this to happen? What kind of God will allow my grandfather, a family man, never raised his voice, loved and respected by his community? What kind of God will allow him to die 25 years before Henry Kissinger? I know I'm getting a little deep here, but this is not, I don't celebrate this. This is very tragic to me. Like, there's a certain point where someone lives so long, you're like, yeah, he's 100, bro. He won. It's sad to see. And with that said, this last time I said, because I know I went a little bit long on this segment.
I got something to add too when you're done.
Yes, sure. One of the reasons I do believe it's very important to, and I covered this in my hotspot video, one of the reasons why it's important for us to celebrate the death of Henry Kissinger, you already see a lot of liberal establishment blue checks melting down like they do every time, like when John McCain died, right? Like when Dianne Feinstein died. You guys are so mean. You guys are mocking the death of these people. And I don't have anything to say, but they are everywhere on Twitter, man. You're like,
over Kissinger? If they'll do that for Kissinger, man, come on.
Yeah, fam. They already doing it. They already doing it. And not only should we be celebratory when people like Henry Kissinger die, it's our duty to. You guys understand? It's our duty to celebrate the deaths of war criminals like Henry Kissinger. Because what happens otherwise? They get holidays like Christopher Columbus, CJ. If you're not willing to speak ill of the dead. All of a sudden, the establishment with all the resources, you got Ron DeSantis and the Republicans who trying to ban critical race theory and control education as it is right now. As someone who studied history is written by the winners. So they take a while. You know, they're not too audacious. Anyway, they wait a few years. Then all of a sudden, you're going to see a few individual statements. Man, that dude, George W. Bush, he really loved his country, though. George Washington, he liberated our country from the British. You see, they start excluding the slaves. They start excluding stuff. All of a sudden, 10 years, 15 years, they're going to exclude Cambodia. They're going to exclude Vietnam. They're going to be like, and you already see it. You already see it. Let me see if I can find another one before I skip to the, I got to get this ad blocker thing. Fuck. Here's CNBC. If you search his name, you're going to see a ton of headlines that are going to make you fucking vomit. Actually, I'll say that one next. Here's the ADL. Henry Kissinger, the ADL, fucking guys. Henry Kissinger was a towering intellect.
What?
The ADL and all these establishment think pieces, institutions are eulogizing this guy who has a kill count that way surpasses the fucking Joker. The Joker in the DC comics, I Googled this in preparation for my hotspot video. His death, according to DC comic nerds, Joker killed around 3,000 or so people in the DC continuity. Joker, 3,000, Kissinger, millions. Do you guys understand? Meanwhile, you guys are praising and eulogizing someone that made Joker look like a fucking kitten. Henry Kissinger was a towering intellect, a diplomat, a practitioner, CJ. He's a practitioner now.
Yeah, Jesus. These people.
3 million dead in Vietnam. That was one hell of a practitioning. He practiced the shit out of Vietnam. Can you guys believe this? And I'm showing you guys a few because this segment will be way longer if I pulled all of them. So I'm gonna show you guys just this one here. Google his name and you will throw up. For real. Henry Kissinger was a towering intellect, diplomat, a practitioner who, not without controversy, millions dead. Just a little controversy, CJ. He helped shape American foreign policy with a lasting impact worldwide. A refugee from Nazi Germany. Now they about humanize him. This is his backstory. A refugee from Nazi Germany, the first Jewish Secretary of State. This guy who got millions dead. ADL's like, yes, our first Jewish war criminal. Not first, but another Jewish war criminal. ADL's, they are celebrating the fact that, yeah, this guy is Jewish. Killed millions of people. Thank God he killed millions of people, but he was Jewish, though. You gotta know that. He was unapologetically about his heritage, CJ. And his embrace of the importance of American global power and democratic values. Tell me that shit didn't make you want to vomit.
It did.
And they're saying stuff like that. This is CNBC. And this is the last one I'll read. I swear to God, this segment could be way longer, but I won't because I got a hotspot video coming on this soon. Henry Kissinger, the towering American diplomat. You know, they using that term, towering? Towering intellect, towering diplomat. This is the word that was sent to all these corporate media outlets, apparently. The towering American diplomat. And they talk about how he's a Harvard professor, he's a great foreign policy thinker, and they praise his fucking accomplishments. The establishment is praising his accomplishments because, CJ, according to them, civilian deaths don't mean anything because he helped America shape its dominance in foreign policy, which you can't even make that argument. Henry Kissinger, foreign policy emboldened and created terrorist groups. It radicalized the world against America. It has made America unsafe. Neoliberalism created and funded terror cells. There are countries, and I don't really care about this, but just based on their talking point of having a foreign policy that keep America safe, having a strong America, Henry Kissinger's foreign policy made America weaker, or people's opinion of America weaker. So when you look at the substance of what they praise them on, of someone who just, yeah, I know he fucked up sometimes, but at least he made America strong. No, he didn't. His foreign policy, his advocacy for endless military spending weakened the working class. It destroyed our infrastructure, destroyed our country. We're going the way that Rome is going because of people like Henry Kissinger. But there are people like Hillary Clinton that propped up because she was Henry Kissinger mentored her. But anyway, that's my short story. CJ, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I do want to add because
go ahead, CJ.
This Henry Kissinger story. I mean, with this guy's kill count and how we've been waiting this long for this guy to kick the bucket. You know, both of us got to bring a couple of receipts. So I got a couple of receipts here.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping you haven't seen this, Nick. Because I want to get your surprise reaction on this.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, man. Morning Joe.
Yo,
fuck.
I'm gonna say. I purposely avoided. I seen the thumbnails of videos from MSNBC eulogizing this guy, and I'm like, I can't do it. I literally couldn't. I can't do it. I skipped it. You know, the same way I skipped like MSNBC like the week of October 7th. Like, no, I can't do it. That's the same way with Henry Kissinger. I saw Fox News cover it. I was like, I can't click it. I can't do it. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's about to be fucking brutal.
The reason why this is probably the worst, and when I say the worst, like it's the most cringe, because Andrea Mitchell, you have to understand Andrea Mitchell. If they called her Andrea Greenspan, you would know who she is. She's the wife of Greenspan, okay? This is not a regular person, okay? When she wakes up early to come on the show, and then you got David Ignatius, the guy who writes for Washington Post, they say that Joe Biden only reads him. When you got those people coming, waking up just to talk about Henry Kissinger, get the fuck out of here, Nick. Let's listen to this.
Oh, God.
We'll take a look at the life and legacy of former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, who passed away yesterday at the age of 100. Along with Joe, Willie, and me, we have columnist and associate editor for the Washington Post, David Ignatius, White House editor for Politico, Sam Stein, and NBC News chief foreign affairs correspondent and host of Andrea Mitchell Reports, Andrea Mitchell is here.
I know people
and
think
Joe,
we're radical.
Andrea
That's
was
a good
just
pause
telling me
right
a
here.
story.
And it's not a long thought. But I know people think we're radical. But I want you guys to realize this panel of people you're seeing right now are the most radical people in the world. They have the most radical foreign policy, the most radical economics, and the most radical worldview. I don't know what they say, but I'm sure this segment is going to be fucking horrific. And people think, and like the media, they labeled us as the most extreme, far left, radical. And I know it's fun to call yourself radicals, but we're really not, man. Like people nod our head to what we say. Like these people, if you ask the world on what they view about stuff, these people are the most extreme, radical, violent, bloodthirsty political monsters in the world. And I am not exaggerating. Let's watch. I haven't seen the segment. Maybe they might say something that back that up. But you guys know these people are fucking.
No, Nick, you pretty accurate. You haven't even seen it. You pretty accurate. All right, let's see.
All right, I'll listen now.
When she heard the news about the passing of Henry Kissinger, I think we all took a moment to reflect when the news broke.
Well, so much to reflect on. As the New York Times said this morning, rightfully, he was a hugely significant figure in U.S. foreign policy.
That's one way to say
politics. I had no idea. He was on the cover. And for those of us a little bit older, this actually used to mean something in a significant way. He was on the cover of Time magazine 15 times.
Wow.
And one.
Now, Nick, do you think he was on the cover of Time magazine because he killed a lot of people 15 times? Or was he on the cover of the magazine because we live in a psychopathic country where we celebrate murderers? Like, it's an obscene that this guy will be on the cover of Time magazine. But go ahead.
Can we talk about how insane it is? You guys saw how our first thought was when it came to cover Henry Kissinger was to talk about, I don't know, the million people he killed. I don't know, kind of important topic to bring up when you talk about Henry Kissinger. What do they bring up, CJ? These deeply unserious children brought up how many magazine covers he was on. CJ, imagine you talking about a death of any other serial killer. Imagine some guy killed, raped, and murdered like 15 women, and then you talking about his death. You're like, man, isn't it interesting he was on a magazine cover before? Like, nigga, that's like the least interesting thing about him. You guys brought the least interesting thing about Henry Kissinger.
All right, let's listen.
One of those times, David Ignatius did not make his boss, Richard Nixon, very happy. It was when Time called Nixon and Kissinger Men of the Year in 1972. But a very complex legacy, as well as I must just say on a personal note, a very complicated relationship.
When the ruling class says complicated, understand that means this person or the event was terrible, but it was in the interest of the United States, so we're just going to call it complicated. They say that about the relationship with Israel, too.
To your point, do they use that language talking about Putin, Xi Jinping? You know, people who killed fractions and fractions and fractions less people than Henry Kissinger. Like, Putin, who is considered the worst person of all time to them, if you take the worst interpretation of the Ukraine war, he's still way behind. Like, CJ, imagine if you had Putin derangement syndrome. You have the worst interpretation of the Ukraine war. You believe he truly was genocidal and wanted to kill as many Ukrainians as possible. He's still miles away if you think that from Henry Kissinger. But they talk about Putin as if he's the devil incarnate. There's no euphemisms. There's no soft language. There's no it's fucking complicated. No, this Putin is a tyrant, the likes of Hitler, the worst we ever seen. He be trying to Hague. Like, you guys see we should talk about our ruling class, and I said this many times before. The same way they talk about their enemies is how we should talk about our ruling class. They engage in soft language and euphemisms when doing propaganda for our war criminals, and they tell the truth about how they really feel about their own crimes when talking about someone else. Let's continue.
Facts.
With Mika's father.
Now, this is the reason why, one of the main reasons why I wanted to play this, because if people don't know, Mika's father was a high-ranking person in government. These people aren't here because of their talent. Joe Scarborough was an elected congressman. That's why they trust him to be on TV. Daddy was like this with Henry Kissinger, and they're about to talk about that. Like these people, Anderson Cooper, he's part of a oligarch. He's an heir to a mega fortune. That guy, his last name really is not Cooper. It's the name of that dynasty. He just uses Cooper, so you don't know that. So let's continue. These people are unreal. Let's listen to the connection though that her father has that they are proud about.
So, Joe, he did have a complicated relationship with Mika's dad. He and Zbigniew Brzezinski really were the two towering foreign policy intellectuals of their time. And a striking thing was that at the funeral of Zbigniew Brzezinski, John Hamre, the head of a think tank called the Center for Strategic and International Studies that Kissinger had been very close to, read a letter from Henry Kissinger in which he expressed deep regret that he'd never really said all the things of admiring and praiseworthy of Zbig that he had wanted to in his lifetime. It was a moment that I think everybody in the audience has never forgotten. It showed to me how complicated a person Kissinger was. He was striving as a young immigrant to make it in foreign policy with the patronage of the Rockefellers, other prominent people in America. He was a genuinely brilliant person who in his first book set forth the way he looked at the world. It was about stability. His model was the Congress of Vienna, if viewers can remember that, in 1815, which
so understand, Nick, the guy that's talking, that's David Ignatius. So when we are reading history today and we're reading news clippings today, do you ever ask yourself, can we believe this shit? Because listen, David Ignatius is a top reporter, Nick. His words will be read 100 years from now for people who will be reading a newspaper. And what he's saying about Henry Kissinger is an absolute lie, Nick. So how are we now to this is anytime I encounter this dynamic, I go, there's no way I can believe this shit that I'm being told in these books about the United. There's no way. Look what they're saying about this guy. Go ahead.
Dude, this is so deranged. It's like, bro, I'm literally in shambles here. I'm glad I had to run around the house a little bit. That's why I got the camera off. But I'm like in shambles here because these same people attack Donald Trump for not even saying nice things about like Putin in North Korea, but he would humanize them. He's like, as a leader, this guy is smart. Like that, I remember that's Morning Joe in particular in a news cycle freaked out when he said that Kim Jong-il of North Korea, and he said that Xi Jinping was smart, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is Donald Trump admiring and praising tyrants." And I'm sorry if I sound like a fucking broken horse here, but if you think that any of the people I just named has a kill count anywhere near this guy, you are delusional. None of these people had the moral high ground over Henry Kissinger had the moral high ground over no one alive, but they're praising him. They are guilty of the same thing they accused Trump of. What did I just say? The same way they describe their enemies, use that to describe what they are doing. Donald Trump is an evil, tyrannical motherfucker because he had nice things to say about Xi Jinping. Meanwhile, they have nice things to say about Henry Kissinger. Their accusations are confessions. They are morally bankrupt, and they know it because they say nice things about Kissinger. But let's continue.
Like
this is literally shocking.
But such a complicated person.
Yeah. He really was, and it is a shame Mike Barnicle's not with us today because, of course, Mike covered the Congress of Vienna in 1815 for the Boston Globe. But we'll talk to Mike about that tomorrow. I'm sorry, Ann, it's just a joke. But we're going to talk much more, Mika, about Henry Kissinger's legacy. I will just say really quickly, so your father and Dr. Kissinger. About as extreme rivals as you could be while working together. Just read Dr. Brzezinski's diaries to see that. And yet he very
I'm sorry. I don't have anything smart to say. Like, I'm just raging.
John Henry said when hearing of the news, and wrote a beautiful letter to your mother and your family. But we'll be talking about that legacy ahead. I'm sure you have thoughts.
Well, no, I just think I sort of, in my mind, celebrate the moments when they would get together on stage or around a table and they would spar in a joyful way over issues. Because Willie, they both.
Well, you're not going to talk about anything he did. Like,
I was just about to say that.
I'm sorry, CJ. I didn't mean to undercut you.
No, go ahead.
I am literally losing my mind listening to this. Like, media rank these people as a way more reliable. And in one of the categories, if you look at the article, one of the reasons why they rank us low, they said we do low effort reporting. Meanwhile, Morning Joe and all the establishment newspaper does quote unquote high level reporting. That's what it said in the article. And they rank Morning Joe one of the highest reliable shows. They think this is high level, high effort reporting. I fucking did research for you guys, found graphics. I mean, I know his crimes, but I don't know the exact numbers, motherfucker. I had to do research for my segment, had to find numbers, make sure you guys know the exact count. I'm not guessing. Like, I had research to do in my segment. Meanwhile, they're like, nigga, they had freezing and friendly rivalry with your dad. You know, he was on the magazine cover. This is the lowest fucking effort garbage, and you get this regularly on TV. And I'm not really mad but it's just very offensive that media says that this is high effort, and people think that RBN and any independent media is low effort when we work way harder. We are way smarter. We are way more impactful in educational new program than they would ever wish to be. But go ahead, CJ. This is unbelievable.
But what I wanted to also say is that, like, this we're hearing them talk about their government. This is not for us. In the way that they're speaking, yeah, my dad, he did this, and they had all these fights, and yeah, your dad this and this, and he knew this person and that. You see how this government, like, it's not ours, bro. This is not for us.
That's another great point, CJ.
Yeah, they're talking about this government like this is a family business that is kind of passed down and just being
in our face.
Yes, it's so it's off-putting to me. It's very off-putting.
How can anyone, and liberals do this all the time because Trump bastardized the term, when people say that the deep state is a conspiracy theory, like that's what, like, especially like Trump made it way more fashionable to hate it because they bastardized it. But, like, how can you see people just being chummy on TV talking about family, their friends? You see, like, former State Department officials like Jen Psaki have a TV show on there. How can you just see this right in front of your face? You can't even call it a conspirity theory because it's not really a conspiracy. Yeah. They openly doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But go ahead. Let's continue, CJ.
Facts.
Both had a deep appreciation for the complexity of global issues like the ones we're facing today in Ukraine and trying to bring together NATO, and also, of course, the war in the Middle East, which is our top story this morning. Willie?
It is. And by the way, Mike Barnicle is, in fact, here today. He's warming up in the bullpen, Joe. And
all right. Yeah, they do have another segment, but that was crazy. But go ahead, Nick. You were gonna
my last take on this is an absolute crime on journalism. You can't even call this journalism, because imagine doing a segment on Henry Kissinger without saying the word Vietnam one time. Can you imagine thinking you're a journalist, thinking that you're an intelligent political commentator, and you're doing a segment without Kissinger, without even saying the word Vietnam, without even saying Cambodia? There's no words in the language, at least I'm versed enough to say, to describe how deeply unserious these people are. Like, if you want to bring up the magazine covers and shit, I guess you could, but that's like side fucking comment after you talk about the Vietnam, Cambodia shit. You know what I mean? The support of Pinochet and all the other shit.